Photoshop can open a huge array of graphic file formats. As a matter of fact, I can almost guarantee that Photoshop's going to open up pretty much any file format that you can throw at it, from TIFFs and GIFs to vector file formats like Adobe Illustrator files and PDFs and all the rest of it. So here's what I'm going to do here with you. I want to open up a file and I want to show you a couple of neat things here. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to choose File and then Open, or Control-O on the Windows side, or Command-O here on the Mac. And of course that brings us into the Open dialog box. And I'd like you to navigate to your Project Files folder, which hopefully you copied onto your desktop. And I'm going to go and open up a file called Barn1. You can really grab any file you want. It doesn't really matter, just so long as we have something to open up here. And then go ahead and click on Open inside the dialog box there. There's our barn, or whatever image that you decided to open up. Okay, wonderful. Now earlier when we were taking a look at Photoshop's preferences, there was an option in there for opening your files as tabs. So now what I have at the top of my Photoshop interface is barn1.jpg. I can tell my zoom level right now is 25%. It's an RGB image and it's 8-bit. It's an 8-bit image. And you know, if I really want, I could hold down Option or Alt on the Windows side and then click on this little area down at the bottom of the image window and get some additional information about this file. For instance, this guy is huge. He's 2,500 pixels in width, or 35.5 inches. He's 1,920 pixels in height, or 26.5 inches. He's RGB, and he's 72 pixels per inch. So he's pretty massive. He's pretty huge in terms of his physical dimensions anyway. That's kind of a cool thing. But you may have eyeballed this already, that I still have the original file that you and I created open inside the previous tab. So now I'm working in sort of this tabbed environment here, which you might like or you might not like. Personally myself, maybe I'm a little old school when it comes to Photoshop, but I don't like the tabs. I like instead having floating document windows. So what I'm going to do here is up to my application bar running right across the top here, we have this drop down right here, Arrange Documents. And what I can do here, I mean, you can choose all kinds of different ways to view your files if you want. We could go 2 up, for instance, and now we get side by side, or, you know, I could drop this guy down and I could go, you know, 1 above, 1 below, something like this, which is kind of cool. I mean, this is great when you're doing, you know, comparison work and things like this. But instead, I think what I'll do is I'll pop open this menu up on the application bar, and instead what I'll do is I'll say Float All in Windows. And now what I have is a separate document window for each of my Photoshop files, and I can drag them around just by dragging on this title bar here. And you'll notice that there's no longer a document tab running across the top, but I still get the same information. Barn1, there's the zoom level, there's my color space and my bit level as well. So I'm still getting all the same information, and I have the exact same information running right across the bottom of the document window. So it really is entirely up to you how you'd like to work. If you want to go back to that tabbed interface, that tabbed view, you can head back up to your application bar, back to Arrange Documents, drop this guy down here and choose the very first icon there, Consolidate All, and now we're back to where we started. Pretty cool. So there you go. There's opening files and working with multiple files and things like this. Now, before I close this out here, I want to show you one more thing here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of these 2 files here just by clicking on the X there on the document tab. For each of these guys here, I'm going to close out of this guy as well. And if you get prompted to save or anything like that, just say no. And I want to show you a very cool way for opening up files, both on the Mac and on the PC side. What we could do, of course, is we could choose File Open, or we could hit Control-O on the Windows side, or Command-O here on the Mac. But try this. This gray background that we see here in the sort of the background of the Photoshop interface, try double-clicking on it. That's a super fast way to get to your open dialog box. Do you want to see that one more time? All I did is this gray background here, just double click on it anywhere. Double click anywhere on it, throws you into the open dialog box, grab the file that you want, click on open. That's all there is to it. That's probably one of my most favorite Photoshop tricks or Photoshop techniques. So there you go, opening files and working with multiple files.